Have you ever wondered how one of the greatest empires in history simply disappeared? An empire that spanned 3 continents, controlled over 50 million people, built aqueducts, paved roads, and grand cities, the likes of which the world had never seen. And yet, it fell. Not in a single day, not from one cause, but from a slow, steady unraveling. This is the story of how the Roman Empire collapsed, and why its fall still echoes through history today. The Roman Empire didn't fall because of one battle or one bad ruler. Its decline was the result of a perfect storm, a mix of internal weaknesses and external threats that together proved fatal. Let's begin with the economy, the lifeblood of any empire. At its peak, Rome was a hub of commerce. Goods from Britain, Africa, and the Middle East flowed into the capital. Silk from China, spices from India, grain from Egypt. But as the empire grew, its economy began to strain. Massive spending on military campaigns and public entertainment drained the treasury. To pay for it all, emperors began to mint more coins, but with less precious metal. Over time, inflation soared, the value of money dropped, and with it, trust in the entire system. Taxes increased dramatically. Ordinary citizens were crushed by the financial burden. Wealthy elites often avoided taxes altogether, shifting the load onto the poor. Farms were abandoned, land went untended, and food shortages began to hit even the core cities. The Roman economy wasn't just weak, it was unsustainable. While the economy stumbled, the military was stretched to its limits. At one time, the Roman legions were the most powerful force in the known world, highly trained, disciplined, and loyal. But defending an empire of that size came at a cost. The borders stretched thousands of kilometers, from the cold forests of Germania to the deserts of Arabia. Constant pressure from outside forces meant the legions were always on the move. To keep up, Rome began recruiting foreign soldiers, Germanic tribesmen, hired hands, men who fought for pay, not patriotism. And when times got hard, those same men sometimes turned on the empire that had once employed them. In one disastrous encounter, Roman forces were ambushed and defeated by the Visigoths, a signal that Rome's military supremacy was no longer guaranteed. These losses didn't just weaken the army, they shook public confidence. If the legions couldn't protect Rome, who could? As pressure from outside grew, internal stability crumbled. In just 50 years, Rome cycled through dozens of emperors. Some were assassinated by rivals. Others were declared emperor by the army, only to be killed months later. Civil wars became frequent. Power changed hands through violence, not elections or succession. Every new ruler had to secure loyalty, often through bribes or land giveaways, further bankrupting the state. Corruption wasn't just at the top. Governors exploited provinces. Judges sold verdicts. Even the army demanded ever more pay and privileges. And with every crisis, trust in the imperial government faded. Citizens began to care more about surviving than about Rome. To regain control, Emperor Diocletian made a drastic decision. He split the empire into 2. The Western Roman Empire, ruled from Milan and later Ravenna, and the Eastern Roman Empire, with its capital in Constantinople. At first it helped. 2 emperors, 2 courts, 2 armies. But over time, the West, poorer, less urbanized, more exposed to invasions, began to crumble, while the East prospered. This division meant to strengthen Rome, may have doomed the western half to fail. Meanwhile, daily life for Romans was changing. Cities, once the pride of the empire, began to decay. Theaters closed, bathhouses fell silent, public fountains ran dry, diseases swept through the population, including several waves of plague. Food shortages, crime, and unemployment grew. People left the cities and returned to the countryside, seeking safety and self-sufficiency. The vibrant Roman urban culture, the very identity of the empire, began to vanish. Culturally, Rome was transforming too. By the 4th century, Christianity had become the dominant religion. It offered hope in a time of uncertainty and a vision of salvation beyond the chaos of the physical world. But it also changed Rome's social fabric. The old gods were abandoned, temples closed, traditional values shifted. Church leaders grew in power, often rivaling or opposing the emperor himself. Some historians argue this weakened imperial authority. Others say it helped preserve Roman ideals after the fall. But one thing is clear: Rome was no longer the empire it once was. Then came the moment that shattered the illusion of Roman invincibility. Rome, the eternal city, was sacked. Invading Visigoths entered the city, looting and destroying as they went. It was the first time in 800 years that the heart of the empire had fallen to a foreign army. And it wouldn't be the last. More invasions followed. The Vandals from North Africa, the Huns from the east, the Ostrogoths from the north. In the end, there was little left to defend. The Western Empire was hollow, its rulers powerless, its armies scattered. In the year 476, the last emperor of the West was deposed. The Western Roman Empire was gone. But Rome didn't vanish completely. The Eastern Empire, the Byzantine Empire, survived for nearly 1,000 more years. Its capital, Constantinople, would remain one of the greatest cities of the medieval world. And Rome's legacy lives on to this day. In our languages, Latin is the root of Italian, French, Spanish, and more. In our laws, Roman principles still shape modern justice. In our architecture, philosophy, and political systems. So why did Rome fall? Not because of one thing, but because of everything. Corruption, overexpansion, economic collapse, military failure, cultural transformation, invasion, and perhaps most of all, an empire that believed it could never fall, stopped preparing for the day it might. That's the real lesson of Rome. Even the greatest powers can crumble when they forget what made them great.